Hello, Lloyd Shaw here from VibraTrain. You're about to see a couple of small videos about some of the biggest myths in the vibration training industry. I promise this will smash them and get you asking questions. Some of these ideas are so simple, they are literally the elephant sitting in the middle of the room that help explain why so much research over a decade has been extremely contradictory. You watch these videos, you start asking questions, and our industry will move forward. Hello, Lloyd Shaw here, about to dispel two of the biggest myths in the vibration training industry. I can guarantee this video will cause a lot of controversy and get people asking a lot of questions, and so they should, because this should have been taught to every single person involved in vibration training and lineal machines. This here is a basic vibratory motor. It works simply by spinning around like a normal motor, except it carries some counterweights. The counterweights, as they spin around, create force. As you can see, the faster I spin it, the more force it creates. No different than swinging a ball around on a bit of string, very slow, not much force, very quickly, lots of force. Most motors like this comfortably work up to about 40 to 45 Hertz, which create enough energy to make your muscles work on a linear platform. Anything too slow and it doesn't tend to create enough energy for you to feel it. One of the major confusing things about vibration training is people saying that amplitude is everything. In other words, if the machine moves 2 millimeters, it must not be as good as something that works 4 millimeters. 6 millimeters is even better. But one of the biggest things people do not talk about are the importance of these. They are called isolators. They act like a suspension system on a car. They cushion the platform. But more importantly, they also restrict the movement of the motor. As you can see, this isolator of an original power plate machine or a Vibragym is very stiff and takes a lot of force. I can hardly bend it. This one here is a little bit softer and bends and springs quite easy. So if I was a motor and I was pulling up against this isolator, I could move it a fair bit. The same size motor with the same size weight would find it very tough to move this isolator. These things are very, very important to the explanation I'm about to give you. When the original university tests were done on the original power plate in 2003, it was shown that 4 millimeters worked out the body slightly harder than 2 millimeters. So the conclusion was reached that 4 millimeters must be better than 2 millimeters. But here's the point. If the motor is swinging around only carrying a certain amount of weight, it will force the isolator to move only a small bit. On the original power plate machines, they had what they call a counterweight, an added counterweight, that locked onto the front of the motor when you reverse direction. So when it goes one way, the motors might look like this, dividing the force by half. When the motors were spun this way, it locked into place and created more energy in the vibration. So it's like getting one ball on a bit of string and spinning it around, as opposed to 2 balls on the same piece of string being spun around. 2 balls being spun at the same speed will quite obviously create more force. This added force overcame the internal resistance of the isolator and allowed the isolator to move up and down 4 millimeters. Because the platform is attached to the isolator, the platform then moved 4 millimeters. So it was a completely wrong conclusion to say that 4 millimeters was harder than 2 millimeters because the amplitude had changed. The fact is, it got harder because the force of the motor had changed. No different than the force of a 5 kg weight to a 10 kg weight. You double the force, you double the workload. How far you lift the weight or throw the motor sometimes doesn't make any difference. I could feasibly build a platform with super cheap, crappy isolators that were very, very soft, put a very, very weak motor in between, make the platform move 6 millimeters, and you would hardly feel anything at all. Okay, to reiterate, the physics of amplitude is everything. If the motor produces more energy by changing the weighting structure, by turning it in a clockwise or anti-clockwise direction, adding extra mass, spins harder, overcomes the resistance of the isolator and forces the platform to move more. But it is the energy from the motor that changes the workout for the individual on top of the platform, not how far the platform moves. It was a completely wrong conclusion people within the industry jumped to, because they didn't look at the correlation between the energy and the isolating systems that were being tested.